Spending on Indigenous Australia has recently topped $25 billion a year. Yet in some Aboriginal communities, there's a profound sense of despair. It's reflected in a suicide rate that's reaching epidemic proportions. In Western Australia's Kimberley region, 35 people have taken their own lives since January last year. The tiny community of Mojam, with a population of just 300, lost 5 of its residents in a matter of months. As such, our story contains references to people who've died, which may disturb some Indigenous viewers. Reporter Bronwyn Herbert travelled to Mojam and she found community leaders haven't given up hope and believe jobs may be the answer.
It's rodeo time in Derby, and ringers from Kimberley cattle stations and Aboriginal outstations are on show. Stephen Nulgett from the nearby Indigenous community of Mojam isn't riding bulls this year. Instead, he's helping the next generation of rodeo hopefuls and encouraging new skills into young lives.
You right, Darren? You had a good ride there, mate. Made time, I think, your first, eh?
But some of Mojam's teenagers are missing from the crowd. 5 people from the small community died by suicide last year, including Stephen Nulgett's brother.
He was a happy little boy. He always had a beautiful smile. I'll never forget that smile. Yeah.
On a cool dry season day, 16-year-old Darren Ejai had been at school in Derby. He then spent the afternoon helping his brother get his car working. As night fell, the boys drove from town out to Mojam to help celebrate their older brother's birthday. Darren left the party and was found just before midnight, hanging from a nearby tree.
In our culture, in spiritual way, the dogs howl when something's wrong, like they moan and cry. And I heard that, then like my blood ran cold. And I couldn't believe it was my little brother, so I didn't believe it. And
What triggered him, do you think?
I wouldn't have a clue. You know, I think when you hold a lot of things in, and that's the worst thing about it, you hold a lot of things in and you don't talk to anyone, it just builds up into depression and anger. The best thing to do is talk to someone you trust, talk to someone you know.
The stump of the tree where he was found hanging is a tragic reminder.
And we chopped this tree down just with an axe, all the way down, and my uncle came with a chainsaw and just cleaned it all up because like it kept affecting my mother.
Over the next few months, more people took their own lives. One teenage boy killed himself after arguing with his brother over a mobile phone. A 20-year-old man took his own life after his partner locked him out because he was drunk and violent. And a young woman fled from a party after a fight with her boyfriend, then ended her life.
Girlfriends and boyfriends fighting, just that sort of stuff that affects them, and just in the capacity where they aren't able to cope at that time.
A standby suicide response worker has funding for a year to work with Mojam's grieving families.
A lot of them are just there trying to work through what and why it happened and the problem at that time. When we come in, we're just wholly focused on the family and supporting that young person.
On top of the recent deaths, there have been plenty of close calls. Health workers in Derby have confirmed that more than 40 people have been admitted into hospital in the past year for self-harm, attempted hanging and overdose.
We got three tribes here.
Community Director Eddie Bear invited 7:30 to visit Mojam to try and understand why there's been so much tragedy in such a small place. He wants to rid his community from the scourge of suicide and for the nation to take notice.
Everybody in Mojam sort of related, you know, and since we lose somebody, everybody feel the hurt and, you know, feel the pain that, you know, we all go through it.
He says he only just saved his grandson from taking his own life.
I got a grandson, you know, he take off in the scrub every time, but I follow him up and I just have a talk with him, you know, sit with him right there where he don't sort of do that, he just go there, sit there, you know, and, you know, you just sort of talk to him and tell him, hey, you got a life, you know, life to live yet, you know, you're a young bloke. And try to keep talking to him, you know, and he just sat and The belt was hanging already on the tree, but he was just sitting down. And
Like many remote communities, poverty, a lack of work and children not attending school are big issues.
Angelo, come here. Why are you not in school? You like school? No? Why? You gotta be in school, you know, that's how you learn. That's how you learn to read and write and things.
We find Austin Nandu, a 6th grade student with not a lot to do.
I'm only missed out today because I got up late, and I might go tomorrow.
It's clear school isn't on his mind, but the 13-year-old has been thinking about his future.
I'll get a job to work in the police station, because stop people for drinking and learn to take care of your kids and take care of your culture and your families.
Do you think drinking's a big problem?
Yes. Yes, that's a problem. That's got lots of problem.
What do you mean by that?
Like when you're drunk, you talk silly, smart. Another person, they talk back and they say, you want to fight? And they say, yeah. And they start fighting, and the next day they carry the fight on and on.
No work prospects have left many with more time for drinking. Leaders say cuts to the Community Development Employment Program 3 years ago left 100 people doing nothing.
We sort of had people working and all that, you know, and yeah. And when that thing left, we had more drinking and all that, more alcohol involved.
There's no lack of support or resources from both state and federal government agencies, but community leaders say there's no coordination between them.
We probably have somewhere in the vicinity of 50 service providers come inside the community. Now, it's all uncoordinated. There's no uniform about it. Each provider comes in doing their own thing, and you know, when you look around, you see, you know, children still not going to school and that. You know, surely there's an agency that's responsible for this.
Isn't it the parents that are accountable for the kids not going to school, not a government agency?
Well, you know, if that family structure's broken down though, isn't there a government agency to help them out? Children not going to school, there could be a wide range of issues, like they may not have got to sleep that night, they may not have clean clothes to wear to school.
Mojam's leaders are taking one step to try and end the despair that's gripped their community by getting more people into work. They've spent $1 million transforming the dysfunctional community-owned pastoral lease into a commercial cattle operation. A dozen Mojam men are now employed to build new stockyards.
If we can save one life, that's our goal. Away from what's been happening, the alcohol, the cycle they're in. They need to get out of it.
Trying to create hope for the next generation and for teenagers like Austin Nandu.
I just want everybody to be nice and kind and happy.
Are you happy?
Yeah.
What a lovely boy. Today, the West Australian Government announced $500,000 in funding for community-led suicide prevention in Derby and Mojam. More details are on the 7:30 website. And if you need help with depression or mental illness, you can contact Lifeline or the Kids Helpline on the numbers on our screen.